I got to hand it to Atari. They've done a really good job lately at conventions, having a fantastic presence with all sorts of offerings and things to try and announcements and things to purchase. And they showed up a few weeks back at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And boy, there was one specific offering they had that, in my opinion, really flew under the radar. And boy, did it cause some interesting aftermarket experiences. We'll check in on that. And of course, tie up that loose end about what happened to all those gold double feature Pac Man cartridges I had. What did I do with them? You're about to find out. Hey kids, it's Doug from It's All Doug in Games, and we got to tie up a little loose end here, and then we're going to get into a very interesting adjacent story. So to tie up the loose end, if you'll recall, about a month ago, maybe a little more than that, Atari was at the San Diego Comic-Con show, and they brought out to play a limited edition Atari 7800 plus Pac Man Double Feature card. So basically, that was a release that they did with the old 2600 Pac Man game and a new cool remake of Pac Man, specifically meant for the 7800 plus. It could also play on a regular 7800, all that good stuff. It's available in the Atari store for like 35 or 40 bucks, something like that. There's no reason to believe it's going to be a limited edition. But Atari was savvy enough. They figured out as of late that people go bonkers for limited edition anything. And so they had the business sense, and I give them credit on this, to make that same game, but with a gold box, and have the cartridges inside have different colors corresponding to the 4 ghosts and yellow for Pac-Man. So they made 1,000 of them to bring to San Diego Comic-Con. And of course, in full, like, you know, the idea of the chase item, a very small amount of the 1,000 apparently were yellow cartridges inside for Pac-Man, and then the other 4 were ghost colors, what more prolific. So suffice to say, it was a successful business ploy. They sold them all out. They sold most of them at San Diego Comic-Con, and then there was probably roughly about 200 left over by my spider senses, and they sold those on the Atari Age store about a week after the Comic-Con, and those all sold. But even while the last copies were being sold on Atari Age, there was a crazy aftermarket that burst on eBay, of course, as you imagine. eBay would be the main place for something like that. And I got to tell you, there's still an aftermarket today for those. So these sold at San Diego Comic-Con for $99. And you can, you know, see these sold on the aftermarket on eBay for double that, sometimes more than double that. For example, here's a $200, here's 511. That's probably the chase one, right? 200, 300, 160, 170. You get the idea. So there are people who were definitely snapping up those games at San Diego Comic-Con, clearly with the intention of profiting. I mean, there's just no question about it. And you know what? Profit they did. Now, I'm of mixed mind on this. You know, I used to be very anti profiteering on collector's editions of things. And, you know, I kind of got over myself at some point, because here's the thing. There's a few things to keep in mind. No one is going to go without the actual game inside if they just want to buy the regular print, the $40 print. They can play the game, they can enjoy it. So no one is being shut out economically from this if they want to play the game. This is strictly for people who, of a few different camps, the people that love to collect these limited edition prints. And in my humble opinion, the largest group are going to be the people using this as a financial instrument. People assuming that it's going to accrue in value. They're going to do either a quick flip on eBay or a longer hold play, right? But nonetheless, the intent was to make money. So there was a lot of like drama around this particular release. Again, it wasn't clear right away what would happen to the unsold copies at San Diego Comic-Con until it was then announced on Atari Age that, hey, you guys can have the scraps. Some of the old timers were bitter that they had to wait until the the normies at the Comic-Con got first dibs. But nonetheless, things happen how the chips fell where they may, so to speak, and that's fine. Somewhere along the way, I made some videos talking about how many of these copies were left over, figuring out from Shopify. And yes, I freely admit, because I said in the last video, I ended up buying several of those copies. And people have been asking me on the comments and even in private, like, are you just a big evil scalper? Are you just going to resell those? And so I figured I'd be upfront and explain what actually happened with those. Well, first of all, I will say I did keep a copy for myself. There you go. There's the Pac Man Double Feature sealed copy. Oh, how about this? It's all the rage for content creation now is emotional blackmail. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal, ladies and gentlemen. If this video gets 5,000 views, I will foul my copy. I will open it. I will remove 95% of its market value. So there you go. If you'd like to see me sans a sealed copy of this, tell your friends to watch. Anyhow, so yeah, people were asking, well, what the heck, Doug, did you do with your copy of it? And I'll give you the answer. Like a lot of folks in the content creation, the retro gaming space, I too have enjoyed interacting with it. I now actually regularly run shows on the Whatnot platform. Of course, the buy and sell platform for basically everything under the sun now. It's not just like this video games and collectibles were kind of started off. I know Whatnot has fans, it has detractors, but I'm not here to prosecute that debate back and forth. I think it's a great platform. I've enjoyed using it. And folks that are gun shy about it, I'm going to be honest, I feel like they're kind of just bitter that they're lacking common sense and street smarts. I mean, on any selling platform, there are going to be bad actors. And at some point, if you're going to not want to use a platform because there are some bad actors, you're not going to use any platform at all whatsoever. So, I'll just leave it at that before I get too spicy in my opinions. But yeah, I'm like on most Sunday nights when I'm not out at a convention, I do what I call a vintage video game party on Whatnot. And I, sell doubles, sell games that I've bought from collections to, rehome to the community. I'll put a link in the description if you never Whatnotted before. You get like $15 to use my referral link to start. Done with this was not meant to be a commercial for Whatnot, just explaining I'm on Whatnot. And that's where I decided to let go of these games. But I didn't go and sit there and say I need $500 for that. I listed them for $100, which is what I paid for them. And here I'll give you the bookkeeping. Here's from my own back end on Whatnot, the last 4 copies that I had. Here we go. I sold one for $105, $125, $100, and $100. Yeah, I did not choose to try to, gouge people on these. And I just like to think that, I'm not in this in terms of when I buy and sell games. Yeah, it'd be nice to make a few dollars here and there, but I'm not looking to be a millionaire, and I'm not looking to quote unquote scalp anyone. So I try to put my money where my mouth is on that. And so there you go. I hope that the folks that I did give an opportunity to get these to after they were simply no longer available at that price are enjoying them. And so there you go. So that's the answer to the first part of this. Well, what did Doug do with those? Did he do the right thing, or did he do something evil? Hopefully you will find that I was acting in a reasonable manner with those. But let's pivot here. If we can, let's pivot to the second part of this story. So what happened here was that, so we have Portland Retro Gaming Expo now a couple weeks back, and it was very low key. There was not a lot of pomp and circumstance around the blue double feature Pac-Man. There was a tweet that went out, and it became kind of a discussion thread on the Atari Age forum that there was and it was not disclosed how many copies were made. They were very upfront about 1,000 for San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe someone that was at the Portland show knows the answer, and please let me know in the comments. But I could not find anywhere a citation of exactly how many of these were made. That's actually going to be a very important point coming up shortly. So So hold on to that detail, right? That's going to be key. So long story short, yes, they brought these. There was not a lot of fanfare or coverage around them. Like, I know some of the folks that went and covered the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, content creators, some of the great Atari creators out there were at the show, and there was a mention of it, but there was nothing more than really a mention. So it's kind of a bit of a mystery, right? We don't know how many were sold. We don't know how many were created. At least I don't. Again, fill me in if you know in the comments. And so there's a little mystique there, right? So why is that interesting? Well, number one, it's been now a few weeks since Portland, and Atari has not revealed plans to sell the remaining copies, if there are any, on the Atari Age store. So there's definitely mystery there. And that's caused people, especially in this thread, to speculate a little about this. And of course, there was a little detail that got filled in from some folks related to the project in terms of the packaging and stuff, but no information on number of carts or what exactly might happen to any leftovers. So definitely some castle intrigue. Now, people were thinking, okay, well, there's probably going to be some aftermarket, right? Because even within like a day of San Diego Comic-Con, you had a bunch of listings on eBay for this. Well, here's where the story is going to get really interesting, kids. As far as I can see, only one copy of the blue Pac Man Double Feature has gone up on eBay, and that auction has completed a couple days ago. Now, I want you to, please, I hope you're in your seats and you're ready to get shocked. Because, the gold ones, $100 retail, they went 2, 3, some 5. The selling price of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo cartridge, ladies and gentlemen, it sold for $1,125. The blue cartridge, the double feature blue Ghost Edition, from Portland Retro Gaming Expo, sold for $1,125, 28 bids. 28 bids. Okay, everyone, deep breaths, deep breaths. Wow, so much to unpack there, right? Unpack, man. Anyhow, let's assume, we're going to make a base assumption here. Let's assume this is a legitimate auction, that there was no shenanigans. I'm not going to accuse anyone of anything. I don't want to open up that can of worms. Let's presume that this auction was on the up and up, and someone ultimately made the decision that they were willing to spend $1,100 for this. I almost kind of feel bad for that person, because here's what inevitably happens in these sorts of situations. When a market is created with only one data point, the first data point tends to be spectacular. And then when everyone else that has a copy of this, and this is why this is an intriguing discussion, we don't know how many were made, and I don't know or have a handle on how many were sold. Now, if someone that was working at the event wants to anonymously send me a tip or something, I'm not going to say no to that. I would love to get a little inside intel on how many of those were sold. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, because Portland Retro Gaming Expo, as great of a show it is going to have a smaller overall attendance than San Diego Comic-Con, right? Let's say 200 copies sold. I'm just really just ballparking it here. And you have a copy shows up on eBay for $1,100, you paid $100. I have to assume that at least half of the copies that were sold at Portland are going to show up imminently on eBay. They haven't yet, which is even more intriguing to me. I was expecting that, like, instantly after this auction ended, which was, I believe, a couple days ago. 28th, so it's the 30th when we're taping this. No one has yet to relist a copy of this or list a copy. So again, this is so intriguing to me. How many were sold? And what will happen? What is Atari going to do with the leftovers? I think that I almost feel like there's some sort of obligation for them to at least tell us if there were leftovers and what the plans are for that, considering how crazy this is. But let's assume, for example, that 20 more copies show up on eBay because of this. I have a hard time believing that by the 20th copy sold, this is still going to be an $1,100 game. I think that the first copy was FOMO, almost 100%. But when you have some confidence in the world that there's more out there, I would be surprised if the 20th copy is more like 200. So I feel like that first buyer is going to be filled with regret. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're the smart one, and it's going to be a $10,000 game. Who knows? But I almost feel bad for that first person, and it just is such a weird phenomenon. That person made the decision that even though they could have the same zeros and ones on a cartridge for $35-$40, they were happy to pay an extra premium of over $1,000 to get it in a blue box. I mean, some people really love the color blue. I guess that's a possibility. But that just seems extreme to me. But maybe that's the state of the limited collectible audience. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about this subject. Please do let me know in the comments. So very interesting times we live in. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'll stress this. This is a cheap, easy way for these companies to get a little extra scratch. And at the end of the day, if people are willing to part money for stuff like this, I see no harm, no foul. That's capitalism in its finest here. It's not like you're inflating the cost of milk or diapers. I mean, these are video games that just have a different color. And if people want to spend their money on that, then they have every right to. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with Atari taking advantage of that. Hell, Atari should make a limited edition Pac Man Double Feature for every gaming convention in 2026. I look forward to buying the SoCal Gaming Convention Double Feature, the Retro World Expo one, the Too Many Games one, the Long Island Video Game one, the Really Rad Weekend one. I want to see them all. I want to see them all, like a sun-kissed Pac-Man box for the Really Rad Weekend one next year. It's going to be phenomenal. Atari, you've got the right idea. Keep going. Keep those printing presses going. People still want to pay up, so it is what it is. All right, I've said enough. I've said my due. Very curious again to see where you stand on this stuff. I hope you enjoy watching my content. If you do, please throw me a subscribe. Wouldn't mind getting the numbers up a little bit there. It helps us out quite a bit. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you next time on It's All Dug in Games. Sit, Duck Dragon, sit. Good Duck Dragon.